Waling come down today from Manchester. Not just for this, but just for this really, actually. So this is called, first I've got two poems. This first one is called Poem in which the poor are always with us. Oh, the poor are always to blame. The poor are always to blame. The poor. They're always to blame. No inner resources. The poor. No inner resources. The poor. They can't help themselves. They spend on booze. The poor, they spend on booze, no inner resources. The poor, they spend on fags. The poor, they spend on bad food, no inner resources. The poor are always to blame and can't help themselves. The poor, they spend on junk food. The poor, they can't afford. They spend on booze, on fags. They spend on junk food, no inner resources. The poor, we cannot afford them. The poor, they take and take, no inner resources. The poor, they eat junk food, skip meals for their kids. The poor, they spend on fags, they take and take, no inner resources. The poor are always to blame. The poor did bad at school, too tired to think, they cannot learn. The poor, no inner resources. The poor. They can't sleep for worry, the poor. They can't help themselves, they spend on fags, in debt to their eyeballs. They all have big tellies. The poor, they worry and worry, the poor. They're always to blame, the poor. But what can we do for the poor? No inner resources, can't help themselves. The poor, in debt to their eyeballs. The poor, with bloody big tellies. The poor, they're spinning in circles. The poor, is heating or eating. The poor, they take and they take. The poor, but what can be done for the poor? They're always to blame. The poor, they all have their stories. The poor, but who can be bothered to listen? The poor are always to blame. They'll always be with us to blame. The poor, the feckless work shy. The poor skip meals for their kids. The poor, they take and take. The poor, they won't stop from breeding. The poor have stories to tell. The poor, but who can be bothered? The poor, just a mass of statistics. The poor we read of in papers. The poor don't really exist. The poor don't live down our street. The poor, those invisible ghosts at the edge of our vision. The poor, they take and never talk back. The poor, no inner resources, stories to tell. The poor, they'll always be with us. The poor don't really exist. The poor. And this one is taken from my spam box, from my spam emails. It's called Love Poem. Well, mostly it is. There's some bits I don't want, but mostly it's from my spam box. It's called Love Poem from the spam box. It's about a customer that came to engage. Congratulations, replica watches. You're required to tender metaphorical platinum shininess of life. Extended period of push button and wait. We are pleased to inform you. Speed advised. Family dog missing since, as a matter of urgency, I did not forget your past effort to assist me. Standing in the way of love, committed to keeping your account secure. What do you need to do regarding business undertaking to remind you? I like it, my God, I'm flying, wonderful, euphoric feeling. It doesn't like me, interested in having communication proposal to and from all terminals, and also give you picture using a computer balloting system. Contact pay center. I am waiting. Please send immediately you receive. Best Buy Viagra. Yours, love. Please click here.